Hey guys, Dr. Jim Stoppani here, and in this video, I'm going to cover form on the deadlift. Now, the deadlift is considered the ultimate test in overall body strength because, after all, it really is a full body exercise. Now, with the deadlift, it's sort of a combination between both a push and a pull. When you think about it, the legs are doing the pushing and the upper body is doing the pulling. So it's a great overall body exercise, but it's not really a back exercise. While the back is definitely involved, the legs are really the prime mover on the deadlift. Now, as far as form goes, it seems like a simple exercise because you're simply lifting a barbell up off the floor. But if you don't do it properly, you're not only not targeting the proper muscles, but it could also lead to an injury. So in this video, I'll talk about form on standard deadlift, and we'll also compare standard deadlift to a sumo. Now, Mike's gonna step in here and do the actual lifting while I take you through the steps. And he's currently going through my Countdown the Strength program. He's on day 2, so this is his heavy day. So he's using 315 for 4 sets of 4, so this is perfect weight to talk about form. Now, let's talk about his stance. The first thing we're gonna talk about is the distance that the feet are gonna be. Now, most people are most comfortable with about a hip width stance. You don't wanna go too wide on your deadlift stance. Hip width tends to be about the most comfortable when you're doing the standard version of the deadlift. Now, the other thing you'll notice as he approaches the bar, he keeps the bar very close to his shins. And when he lifts, he'll basically drag that weight up his shins, keeping the bar close to his body. The reason for that is the further the barbell deviates from his body, moving more forward, the more forward his center of gravity is going to be. When your center of gravity comes more forward, that's what puts stress on the lower back, and that's what leads to injury. It also is going to reduce your strength. Keeping his center of gravity back as he's lifting the weight up is going to be critical to not only protecting his back, but also maximizing the amount of weight he can pick up off the floor. Now, he's going to come down and grab the bar at about a shoulder width distance. So feet are about hip width apart, arms are about shoulder width apart, and you'll notice what Mike is using is called a staggered grip. He has one hand using an overhand grip, the other using an underhand grip. Now, you could use both overhand grips on both hands if you prefer, or you could try the staggered grip as Mike is using. However, some people will notice that using the underhand grip puts a bit of stress on the forearm and can actually lead to a forearm injury when you're going super heavy. So be careful when you're using a staggered grip, but like I said, you can either use both overhand or a staggered, and it doesn't matter which hand you have over and under, it's all based on comfort. Now, once he's got his hands set on the bar, he's going to drop down to almost parallel with the floor. So with a squat in the bottom position, right, you want to make sure that you're coming down to parallel, where the thighs are parallel with the floor. With a deadlift, you're not quite parallel, you're just above parallel. You'll also notice that the back is flat and he's maximizing the arch in his lumbar spine. You really want to focus on not rounding the back. See, as he's doing here, this is a bad example of a starting position where the back is rounded. You want to get that natural curve. So what he's doing is essentially sticking his ass back out, his chest he's keeping high, and his weight now is going to be sitting back. So when he pulls the bar, he's literally going to be pulling it not just straight up, but actually pulling his body a bit back, which is going to help keep that center of gravity back. So, perfect. All right, now we're going to go into the difference between standard style deadlift and the sumo style deadlift. The name of the sumo style deadlift obviously is because it mimics the position that a sumo wrestler gets in. Now the main difference between the standard deadlift and the sumo deadlift is foot and hand position. Now they're actually the opposite of the standard deadlift. The feet are going to be wider spaced than the hands. So the hands are going to come down about a shoulder with grip, and he can use the same staggered grip or both overhand grip. Again, that call is up to you. But now the foot position is the critical factor here. Now, how wide you go all depends on the height of the lifter. Obviously, further than shoulder width apart. And you're going to turn your feet at an angle, maybe about 30 degrees versus straight forward in the sumo style deadlift. Now what he's going to do is he's going to, again, sit back. Again, it's about keeping your center of gravity back, and he's going to pull the weight up and back down. Now what you'll notice here is with the wider stance, he goes a bit lower than with the standard stance. So legs are lower and back is more upright than with the standard deadlift. What does this mean? Well, when we look at EMG data, it shows that the sumo style is going to use more quadricep because he's going down low, so we have more extension at the knee. It's also going to use more traps as well to support that weight, because again, with the closer grip on the bar, the wider stance, you're going to find with a more upright torso that the traps get a lot of that load that you're carrying. So you'll feel it more in the traps and more particularly in the quads. But if you get the move down properly, people with lower back issues tend to find that because of the more upright position of the torso, the sumo deadlift puts far less stress on the lower back. So I'm a firm believer in variety, and I like to use both because, as I said, you're using different muscle fibers on each lift. To really truly maximize overall strength and development, you want to be doing both forms. However, if you're a competitive powerlifter, you're going to focus on one form versus the other, or if you're trying to test your 1 rep max strength, for example, during one of my strength training programs, like my Countdown the Strength, you're going to focus on one version of the deadlift and stick with that version for the program. For more great training tips like this, make sure to head back to gymstoppani.com.